I'm Steve Conroy. I'm a professor of economics and also faculty director of the Center for Peace and Commerce. And we run the Social Innovation Challenge on campus, not to be confused with, yes, thank you, not to be confused with V2 or Changemaker Challenge, which I'm sure no one has confused. It's great to be here today to introduce a good friend of mine. I consider him a friend. We go back to at least 2008. When he spoke to one of my classes on microfinance, and Patricia Marquez, whom most of you know. I had the distinct honor and privilege of working with Chris's organization this past January in the Dominican Republic. Mario Orozco, who's in the back, was a student in the MBA program, and he was part of the team that worked with them. And Travis Vaughn, I saw, there he is, over there, is also an employee at Edify and helped get that awesome project set up. Chris is president and CEO of Edify, a humanitarian organization that he founded in September 2009 to make loans to Christian schools educating impoverished children in Africa and Latin America, and I'm familiar with the Latin American part of that. He earned an MBA from Harvard Business School, and he had a Bachelor of Science summa cum laude from Boston College. He acquired Comps Info Systems, Inc. in San Diego in 1992 and served as its president and CEO until he sold the company in February of 2000. Under his leadership, the company went bananas. That's a scientific way of saying that he went to like 420 employees, and so on. I'll talk more about that in a second. Just an amazing job with this company. His success then translated over to winning the Ernst & Young USA Today Entrepreneur of the Year Award in San Diego in 1999. And in 2009, the Bob Buford Hall Halftime Achievement Award. Sounds like something they awarded at a football game or something. He also served from 2002 to 2009 as president and CEO of Opportunity International, which is the world's largest faith-based microfinance organization. And he is the protagonist of a Harvard Business School case, which he discussed in my microfinance class shortly. And then he went on to discuss Edify. His love, as you will see, and definitely worthy of that love is this organization. So let me begin and actually end my part by leading into Chris Crane's presentation. I'd like to invite you to picture in your minds the following scenario. Okay, you all ready for this? You've just taken your company public. You're sitting in the corner office, of course, of the 52,000 square foot office building that you own and which houses your 400 employees. Your technology company is growing rapidly, and you've recently acquired 13 other companies. Lucky 13. What would cause you to exchange all of this to work 6 days a week for no salary, spend months every year traveling to disadvantaged communities in countries such as Rwanda, which went through a terrible genocide not so long ago, Liberia, which has the lowest percentage of children enrolled in school in the world, and Burkina Faso, which has the lowest literacy rate in the world. In addition, you'd have to spend a fair amount of your time asking your friends and other people for what? Money, yes, for your organization. Why would you trade the, quote, good life to work with very disadvantaged people in some of the poorest areas of the world? I welcome Chris Crane.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you very much for being here today. It's really it's a joy to be with you because of the vibrant partnership we have with the University of San Diego, and I'll allude to that a little later. But Steve said, so why would you trade that? The simple answer is because another company offered to buy us out, and your board of directors accepts the offer. That's why. That's one of the reasons that you trade that. So, how many of you have ever heard of? Steve mentioned this country, Burkina Faso. Show of hands, how many Burkina Faso? So a few. So have anyone ever been there? So Burkina Faso has 18 million, 18 million people. It's in the Sahara Desert, and it's, as Steve mentioned, it's got the lowest literacy rate in the world. And Liberia with the lowest percentage of children enrolled in school in the world, since our objective is to educate children from impoverished communities, we decided to see if our model would work in 2 extremely poor countries. And although we've just been there 9 months so far, we've been doing loans for our model for 4 years in other countries. So far, it's working reasonably well. So it's exciting. So back to the company, when I sold the company, I knew I'd been the majority owner. I knew I was indispensable. Of course, it's indispensable. So the acquiring company had they gave me a 6-month consulting contract, 6 months. And I thought, oh, they're going to be calling me all the time. I better be in town. So during the 6 months, how many times did they call me? Once. They couldn't find a document, a file. And so they asked me to come in after hours. I wouldn't, after hours, and search my old filing cabinets to see if I could find this document that they were looking for. So much for being indispensable. And those of you who like to control things, you like to control, oh, if I can get this under control. So Steve mentioned I owned the office building. So I had a westward-facing office, which was beautiful. Sunsets, it was great. But when you face west in California, or I guess anywhere in the world, what happens in the afternoon? The sun comes in and the greenhouse effect, so it's really hot. So I said, okay, I'm going to put in my own temperature gauge, so I can control the temperature in my office. So I put this in, and so because I could do that, and so I put that in, and after about a month of calling the HVAC guys and all this and having them come in, I concluded it's just a placebo. I could press that button all I wanted. I could and it would say 62 degrees, and it'd be 85 degrees in that office. So even if you own the building, you can't control everything. Well, I'd like to start with a quote from Nelson Mandela, and I've been collecting quotes on education, but I think this is an excellent quote. So, the most powerful weapon to change the world, because education is, here we are at one of the best universities in the country. The chance that you're getting to develop your minds, to be able to be very productive in your communities, in your work, for your families, it's just a tremendous gift. And so, but it is one of the greatest ways to change the world. So at Edify, our mission statement is to improve and expand sustainable, affordable, Christ-centered education in the developing world. And just my own worldview is if aid is not, or the interventions we bring are not going to change mindsets or change paradigms, that and our model is that the precepts of Jesus Christ that will hopefully be able to overcome war with peace, overcome corruption with honesty, and overcome greed with loving your neighbor. So we think that's what will bring long-lasting change, because if you don't change paradigms, it's very difficult. We just worry that there was a study done that said that the highest correlation with dire poverty in a developing world country is corruption. They called it lack of rule of law, but it's corruption. So you have to address, that's our worldview, that's our perspective. You have to address that, and so we've chosen to emphasize the precepts of Jesus. So from the corporate office to the slums of the world, this is actually one of the nicer schools that we've made loans to, and they've got a computer lab, which is pretty exciting, and we're really big on education technology. We think that education technology offers the chance for students in these countries to be able to participate in the knowledge economy. I'm thinking I was in this remote village in Ghana, in West Africa, and as we drove in, it happens that the PTA board was there. And so I got a chance to speak with them. And so Samuel was the head of the PTA board. And so he told me that they had just spoken with the owner of that school. We are really remote. It took us hours to get there. And he said that we've just decided that we're going to assess every parent $10 per student that they have at the school. And so there's 400 students. So that'd be $4,000. And then the school proprietor was going to put up, invest $2,000, and they were going to have a computer lab. And I asked a question that, frankly, I was embarrassed later that I asked. I said, gee, Samuel, I was trying to say this. I'm thinking, well, we're out in the middle of nowhere. So Samuel, why are you doing this? Why a computer lab? And he just looked at me and he said, because it's a computer world, and if our children do not learn how to use computers, they will be left behind. And he was right. He was absolutely right. And I was ashamed of myself after that answer, because it was, he was thinking, he had much more vision than I did. He had a whole lot more faith. So there is a global education crisis. I had the great privilege, because Professor Patricia Marquez asked me to speak when the Changemaker conference was here just a year ago. Did any of you go down to the Spreckles Theater where the Ashoka TEDx? A few of you. So I got a chance to speak give a TEDx talk, and I emphasized that there is a global education crisis. So the United Nations has done the research, and they found that there are 1 billion school-age children. They define that as age 6 to 14 years old. 1 billion, 61 million have no school whatsoever available to them, and there's another 300 million in total don't have a good school. They just don't have access to decent education. Others in the industry say that's a low number. They say it's probably more like 600 or 700 million out of the billion children have only either no school available or a dysfunctional government school. And when I say dysfunctional, what I mean is that the ministries of education in the developing world, and each country that we work in, I visited the Ministry of Education. And because we go by and we ask the minister, do you encourage us to come in and make loans to the independent schools, not the government schools, but the independent schools in your country? And everyone has said yes, because they're trying to achieve the Millennium Development Goals, which is universal education for all children by 2015, and they're way behind. These ministries of education are terribly underfunded. They don't have the money to build enough schools. They do not have the staff to hold teachers accountable to be present in classrooms and teaching. So consequently, it varies by 25 to 75% of the time, teachers are absent in the government schools. That's just the way it is. I was with the professor who'd done, I've got a slide on him in just a moment, but he'd done the research, and we went to visit a school. A foundation had made a donation to this government school. Our visit was announced. We showed up, and 10 of the 14 teachers were absent. So visits announced, foundation had made a grant to that school. You'd think they would have had like all the teachers there, but 10 of the 14 were absent. So had the visit not been announced, maybe 12 of the 14 would have been absent. So it is a tragedy. It is a social injustice. It's not just. It's just wrong that these children will never have the chance to develop their minds and to be really productive. The chance that each one of us has. It's not fair that we have that chance and that they don't have that chance. So we brought together, I'm a business person, so 25 years in business, so I really don't know much about education at all. And so the good news is we brought in some real education expertise. So Professor James Tooley is the pioneer who did research. He looked at countries he looked at 7 different countries over a 7-year period, researched about how well the schools, these low-fee independent schools. By that I mean these schools will charge about 25 cents to 75 cents a day for a child. And these schools are not government schools. They get no subsidies from anyone. They are fully financially sustainable by charging such low fees. Let me say that again. I don't expect you to believe it because I didn't believe it the first time I heard it. So they charge 25 cents to 75 cents a day. Usually they charge about 40 cents, 45 cents a day. That's affordable to parents who are only earning a few dollars a day. They can send several children to school on that. But these schools don't get donations from anybody. They don't get subsidies from the government. They educate the children on this small amount. By managing very carefully, they can educate the children. Frankly, when I first heard about it, Professor Tooley told me about it, I was skeptical. So on my next trip to Africa, I'd go a couple times a year, I made it a point to see these schools, and I was amazed that yes, they were financially sustainable and they were providing a much better education. I have statistics on that. So, Professor Tooley's advised us, but Dean Paula Cordero at Souls. So she's on our board of directors. She has been to Ghana with us each of the last 3 years. She's been to the Dominican Republic where we operate. She has developed programs to do teacher training, programs to do, along with her colleague professors, programs to do create better learning environments at the schools for the proprietors. So who are these proprietors? They're generally poor people who grew up in the poor community that they serve. And they started with a kindergarten, and they usually started with 7 kids or 9 kids or 12 kids. Those are the most common numbers that they throw out. I always ask, how many did you have? But when I catch up with them, they've got 8 or 10 classrooms, and they've got 300, 400 children. So these are real schools, and they're providing a good education. And if they have a teacher who doesn't show up, they dismiss that teacher and hire somebody else to take their place because there are 5 other people waiting for every spot to get that teaching position. And then Dr. Cordero's brought in Professor Joy Spencer from Souls. And so Professor Spencer has brought graduate students. She's been over to West Africa a couple times with us with graduate students, and they're doing teacher training and the proprietor training. And then in the business school, in the School of Business Administration, Professor Marquez and Professor Conroy have worked with us, and it's very exciting. And so Professor Conroy just brought a group of students to look at the benefits of solar energy, of buying solar panels. In the Dominican Republic, in all the countries where we work, the electricity works maybe 20 or 30% of the time. It just goes down, it's unreliable, and if you can have reliable electricity, you can have lights on, so you can run classes in the evening, you can have fans working to dispel the heat, you can have a computer lab that works, so it's so valuable. They did a great study and gave us a model that we will work over and over again. And Professor Marquez has been a couple times with us to West Africa, and she's about to bring a group of MBAs again in May, because there's a girls' school, 400 girls in Liberia, and that this school has 2 great proprietresses, and it is just primed for a rejuvenation, to take it to the next level. They want to make it a technology school so that when the young women who graduate from this school can get into university, and then if they have a technology background, they can be the software engineers, they can be the website developers. They can make 25 times or 50 times what a woman who is of the same age and maybe the same number of years of education but doesn't have those technical skills, because the technical skills are in so much demand. So very exciting about our partnership with the University of San Diego. So do these independent schools that are charging these low fees, are they really effective? So the World Bank has a subsidiary called the International Finance Corp. And the IFC did a study, exhaustive study, 2-year study, 85-page report in West Africa, and they showed that children in these low-fee independent schools passed the national 9th grade exam 97% of the time, where children in the government schools passed only 42%. And what that statistic doesn't tell you is that in the government schools, half of all the children are pulled out before they complete 5th grade, because the parents say, oh, the teachers are absent so often. Why send them to school? Let's just have them work in the fields or work around the community to earn some money for the family. So I really want to emphasize a point. Edify, the organization I founded, did not come up with this idea. There are hundreds of thousands of these schools. In Africa, there are hundreds of thousands of them. In Asia, there's probably 300,000 alone in India. So we're coming alongside social entrepreneurs, people from those communities. We come alongside and we offer loans for them to build classrooms, and and then it's up to them to choose whatever they want. We offer loans for computer labs. It's about $5,000 to have 11 brand new computers in a computer lab. We offer a program to convert that computer lab from a cost center to a profit center. In other words, so we have, so Laura Hetzel was an MBA student here at University of San Diego. So she spent, after she did the 10-day program with Professor Marquez, she then offered to, after graduation, to spend 2 months with us in Ghana. And she asked what's the most pressing issue that she could address. And I said, show how we can make these computer labs profit centers. So by working with various proprietors, 11 of the computer labs now that we've made loans for, they will open up 2 hours early in the morning. They stay open until 6 p.m. at night, and they are open all day Saturday, and parents will pay about 25 cents US per hour to have their children get extra time on the computers. And one proprietor said, this is working so well. He said he was selling every seat, every hour. He said there was a problem. The children would come with their lunch money, not spend it for lunch. They would spend it for the computers. That is a problem. But he said he ordered another set of 11 computers because the cash flow was there, and that helps them attract more students. When a school in the developing world puts in a computer lab, the average enrollment increase in that school is 25%. They will have 25% more students. If they do a good job marketing it, which with Professor Marquez bringing over some of the MBA students in May, they're going to help this school market, they can increase their enrollment by 50%. So it's a very exciting opportunity that so many, many more students will have this opportunity. So part of our theory of change, so we provide capital. We know these schools provide a better education. There have been numerous studies that show this. So if we make loans for classrooms, there's more access for impoverished children. So we know they're going to get a better education. But we also offer the teacher and proprietor training. Again, the proprietor owns the school. We don't. They're not our schools. We always refer to them as either Edify partner schools or Edify finance schools, and education technology, because we think that is so important for the children. There's high unemployment rates in these countries. If there are 10 kids applying for a job and one of them has computer skills, which one? Guess which one gets the job? That they do. So we're emphasizing that. Yes. Oh, yes, please. So Travis is my colleague, and Travis he's our country head in the Dominican Republic. He went down there at age 25, and while under Travis's leadership, we made loans to over 500 schools in the Dominican Republic during his 2.5 years there. We thought, he seems young. If he doesn't succeed, we'll just pull him back, but he did a great job. So,
thank you.
And so now he's working with us in the office in San Diego. So nonprofits, you get a lot of experience, a lot of responsibility early.
Edify is a program that seeks to educate Christian children in Ghana. It is not only in Ghana, I know they are in other countries, but in Ghana the focus is on Christian education.
We are motivated by the fact that it is possible for us to deliver quality education at that affordable price.
SAD is already working with schools where we provide them with micro loans. These loans goes to the schools or the proprietors to improve on infrastructure, and out of it can deliver quality Christian education to these young ones.
So Edify is supporting us not just with loans, but more importantly with improving our teaching and learning, our curriculum.
The capacity of the proprietors, we want them to understand what Christian education is about.
Parents have 3 choices in general. They can decide not to send their children to school, and sometimes it makes a lot of economic sense because there is an opportunity cost for education.
The difficulties of being a single mother are how to take care of my children, how to feed them, how to clothe them, paying their school fees, buying their textbooks, and so on.
I'm very proud of my mother for taking care of me and my other brothers and sisters.
But of course, many people have seen the fact that education is the first bridge out of poverty.
At first, Dolphin was attending government public school,
which is really a waste of their time. You go to the public school and you see bright-eyed children ready to learn, but no teacher.
In the public school, the teachers will not come. So we, the student, how do we learn?
It comes down to accountability and all that. So parents are voting with their feet. They are taking their children out of the public school system and now sending them to low-cost private schools?
The school has helped Delphine a lot, and I know that he can achieve her best education.
In Omega schools, the teachers care about us. They believe that every child matters.
Parents are able to save because they pay low cost of education, and they're able to make more savings, which comes back to support the income.
It's helped me better for the planning of the use of my money, so I can spend what I need to spend and save what I need to save.
So within the program, we provide loans for providers to buy food, to buy them vehicles, and then also to improve on their infrastructure. It may be an additional classroom, building a complete classroom because most of them have their schools under sheds or trees.
My name is Franco Sunsafo, the proprietor of First Lab Academy.
I'm Juliana Anansi, the head mistress for Juliana Preparatory School.
Since Edify came to our assistance, we have been able to build 5 classrooms right now. What we are running now is one of the 15 classrooms we are building through the assistance of Edify, to have a computer lab, to have a library.
The loan we collected from Edify, we are using it to put up the computer lab. We are on it.
How to use the computer to do research, how to use the computer to learn, and it's one of the key components of the program.
Now I know how to search the internet and learn more about the world.
First and foremost, we have a Christian values. We'll make sure that when they come here, they will see Jesus Christ as their personal savior and nothing else.
As we are training the mind, we have to train the heart too.
So we want to give them good values, and we think that the right way to deliver good values to our children is through Christian values, Christian principles, Bible studies, learning about Christ, so that Christ is not just a theory, Christ becomes personal in their lives.
We are learning knowledge, and we are learning about Jesus Christ, and it is touching my heart.
We want every one of you to go out there to support Edify.
That partnership with Edify is so wonderful. We believe that with such partnership, there's no limit as to what we can do.
To give the best of Christian education that we can ever appreciate in our times. Thank you.
You heard a gentleman right by the end. His name is Ken Donko. I had a conversation with him again this morning. We speak regularly. And he said, there's no limit to what we can do. So he was a 32-year-old man who had worked at non-government organizations, nonprofits in Ghana. So he didn't really have business experience. He did have an MBA. And so I came across Ken, and he had built 2 schools. He had borrowed to build 2 schools. So he had these 2 schools. He had a really good model. It was really impressive. So we started making loans for him to build entirely new schools. So for $70,000, Ken could buy land, and he would build he'd build 14 classrooms, one of which actually was the office for the headmaster, the principal. Another was a computer lab. And they'd have 12 classrooms for three preschools right on up to 9th grade. And so we kept making loans to Ken, and he would fill the classroom, he'd fill the school like that. So he would open a school right before the same academic year as we do. He would open the school in mid to late August, and he would have it filled with 450 children in 1 week to 3 weeks. So we'd make another loan, and so for another school. So Ken got up to 10 schools, and then Pearson Education, world's largest education company, made a multi-million-dollar investment. We're happy because we got repaid our loans. We recycle them to other schools. And then Ken has 40 schools, educating 20,000 children. And what he's done with the economies of scale, he has driven down the cost. With these 40 schools, he can drive down his costs, yet he can increase the quality of education he provides. And so it's just great to work with highly talented entrepreneurs. I can't say enough about the joy and the privilege it is to work with people who start these schools. Ken is a tremendous example and an exception, but so many, they do so much with so little. It's just great, and they do it because of the mission. They want to provide an education to the children. So often they say, I saw children in my village, they were out of school, they were just idle, and so I felt I had to start a school. So, and it's a shame in the government schools that the teachers are absent so often. So my friends in West Africa call the government schools soccer academies. They say football academies, but soccer academies. So why do you say that? They said, get in the car. So we drive around, and at any hour of the day, we drive to some schools, so at the government schools, there are hundreds of kids at 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11, whatever times, not just during lunch, hundreds of kids playing soccer outside. I kid my friends in Ghana. So any World Cup fans in soccer? So in 2006, Ghana, with only 24 million people, and the USA has over 300 million, Ghana beat the USA 2-1. In 2010, Ghana beat the USA 2-1. One of the big reasons is because Ghanaian children that went to those government schools will have 30,000, I ran the numbers, 30,000 hours of playing soccer. They come to school, no teacher. Sent out to play soccer, they play 6 hours during school day, play another 4 hours afterwards. How are we supposed to compete? So I kid my Ghanaian friends that I'm really a secret agent for the US Soccer Federation. And if we can just have kids in school more often, maybe the USA can tie Ghana in a, and guess what? They just announced the draws for the 2014 World Cup. And who does the USA play in the first draw? Ghana. So the Ghanaians have already assumed they're going to win that competition. So it's really exciting. Travis pointed this out to me, that we've said we want to reach over 1 million children. We want to be impacting 1 million children by 2016. So 4 years ago, we did this diagram, and Travis said, hey, we are already at 300,000. We're ahead on this trajectory. But like all projections, as you can see, it gets pretty steep, so we have to be expanding rapidly as we go along. But we are excited about that. So so we have about 15 minutes? Very good. So these proprietors will build a classroom for only $5,000 each. So does anyone know what it costs to build a classroom in San Diego County? This number must include an allocation for the track and for the auditorium. It must. But San Diego County charter schools build a classroom for $1 million, and public schools build it for $1.5 million. So over there, they don't have any tracks, auditoriums, so it's $5,000 a classroom. So for $10,000, we'll build 2 classrooms at 35 children each, which they do have more children than classrooms there. And so that'll be 70 children per year for the next 40 years. But here's the key. This is a microfinance model. Loan that $10,000 and immediately 2 classrooms are constructed. They pay the loan back in 3 years. So in 3 years now there are 4 classrooms. In 6 years there are 6 classrooms. So every 3 years money's recycled and then another 2 classrooms are built. So it is really quite remarkable the leverage effect of recycling the money. And making loans at just these schools are, they don't expect any donations, so they pay these loans back and they are educating children. So I'm going to close with this. I have to do my son, actually. And he was actually working in Nicaragua. He's a big surfer, but he's working there. And then I said, wow, that's really a great picture. Who took that picture? Oh, the editor of Surfer magazine. Really? What happened? How'd that happen? Oh, they had all these pros out there who were surfing. And so he took a picture of me. I said, why did he take a picture of you? When the pros, he saw this big wave came in and the pros let past on it. They thought it was too dangerous. I said, oh, great. So you can. That's how the surfing photo editor of Surfer magazine took it. But the point of this is that the resources that you have available to you, that are available especially to people in the younger generation, technology that's available, the donor capital. We raise donations in the U.S. and we make loans overseas. The donation capital, if you've got a compelling idea, you have a good management team, the capital, the intellectual capital from social entrepreneurs who will come alongside you, people with a lot of business experience and social entrepreneurial experience. They'll come alongside and they'll give you advice that one person today can do far more and impact many more people than anyone ever could have before. Actually, just to think you may be that one person. Here, so I don't know anything about education, a little bit about business, but we make great impact on meeting children. Just from 7 years of starting our organization. And then we actually have this very audacious goal of within 10 years, we're going to be so in the developing world right now, almost even very disadvantaged people have a cell phone when they go. Inexpensive cell phone, but they have cell phones. So now there's technology that sends out education lessons for children free on cell phones. There's no charge for the recipient of that. So we're testing $70 tablets in West Africa now, $35 tablets in India now. I don't know how the futures are, but in several years, probably every student is going to have an inexpensive electronic tablet. It might be, who knows what the price is going to be next. So we're aggregating on our website the links to free textbooks, open source textbooks, and links to great educational content. How many of you are familiar with Khan Academy? So over 4,000 free teaching tutorials in math and science and all sorts of subjects. Sophia.org has 30,000 free teaching tutorials on every subject. So these are free, but you don't need internet access. Khan Academy, we load them with the memory of tablets, and we load them onto a hard drive of the computer labs. So we're hoping that as we continue to make loans to schools, but also that in 10 years from now, maybe 50 million or 100 million children have gone on our website and downloaded these great educational videos. And it's free, and they can download them anywhere. Teachers can download lesson plans, and maybe they'll be the best African teacher or British or Western teacher teaching a particular lesson, and the students have this world-class teaching. So it's amazing the impact that you can have. And I like to look at what we do as it's not charitable. My day-to-day activities are so similar to when I ran a business. So, except for, well, I had a business, we had to raise several rounds of private equity and venture capital. So here we ask for donations on a regular basis. But after that, we're loading it out. We work through a local lending, a licensed local lending partner that shares our value, a microfinance partner. We make sure they're making loans based on the parameters. We have staff in the country that make sure that the educational, that the teacher training, that the educational content is being, the pedagogies and the content is being used. And so following up, we've got education technology officers. So it's so much like running a business that I have. So, as you, how many of you are MBA candidates? So fair amount of you. Wow. So, you might decide to go into working in a nonprofit right out of school, or maybe later on in life, or maybe mid-career. But your experience in business and in so many other professions and applications will, much of that will transfer, and you can make a huge impact in the whole nonprofit environment. So I just encourage you to ride the wave of what technology offers, the social entrepreneurs that will come beside you, and the donation capital that's out there to make a huge difference.
So I'm standing here. I have to, unfortunately, we have to draw this to a close. But the good news is Chris Crane has agreed to be our Changemaker in residence. We are working him feverishly in 48 hours. I don't know how he's going to do it. But so you're going to have other opportunities to see him. So please join me in thanking him for coming and being with us today. So thank you.